As you get comfortable on your backs, just notice if you'd like to have a little blanket underneath your head, which is totally fine. We're just going to center on our backs this morning. You might not need any props and you might need a lot, and that's fine. So just really finding that loving acceptance of who's ever on the mat today. And I'm going to invite you to have your knees bent. So we're in a restful pose, but it's a little more active than if we were in straight up Shavasana. Allow your feet to be maybe a little bit wider than your hips so the knees can fall together. And they're supporting each other. So they're leaning up against one another. You're not necessarily having to hold them there if that's possible. And then I'm going to invite you to place your palms on your lower belly. Your upper arms resting on the floor. Shoulders softly drop back. Facial muscles relax. And allow the body to become heavy. Just take a few moments here to simply follow the natural flow of your breath. Noticing what areas of the body engage with the breath and what areas are in stillness. Let's do a little check-in, recognizing who's arrived on the mat today and really finding a loving kindness to whoever that is. And we start with our outermost layer, the physical body. So you can do a little scan or a little check from head to toe. Not only recognizing the areas that are speaking to you, that need nourishment and care, also recognizing those areas that aren't asking for your attention. Just be grateful, thankful for those areas that are working well. No tightness, no stiffness, no injury. After acknowledging the physical body, let's move into the breath body and just checking in with the quality of your breath. You might begin to deepen or lengthen it to about, let's say 85% of capacity. So that's a breath that's deeper than you would normally take without thinking about it, but it's still comfortable. There's no strain or stress. Allow the belly to rise and fall. Just finding a nice, smooth, even flow to your breath and just checking in with the quality of your breath. Maybe noticing if there's a nostril that feels more open or closed than another. Maybe recognizing it's been a while since you've taken some nice, full, even breaths like this. So whatever comes up for you here, just acknowledge it. Maintain that breath as we check in with our mental and emotional body. So are there thoughts that are continuously taking you away from this moment? Are there emotions right there at the surface? And can you, again, here find that loving kindness and acceptance of whatever's showing up? then we check in with our intuition, our inner knowing, our inner guidance system, whatever term you like to use. Noticing if we feel connected or disconnected from her, him, that source within us. And being open to allowing this practice to connect you back into that. Allowing that small, still inner voice to guide you right here on your mat this morning and what you need for yourself today. So that your choices align with what's for your highest good this morning. And as we connect into those layers, honor who's here on the mat. Capture glimpses of that bliss body, our truth, our essence of peace. And remember that that is our essence, that's our truth, that's who we are. So may this practice remind you of that peace and bliss, your truth, your essence. Bring your awareness back into the flow of your breath. Feeling the belly continue to gently rise and fall with each breath in and out. I'm going to share with you a reading by Dana Falls from her book Go In and In. And it's called The Fruits of Practice. Despite fervent pleas for ease and safety, there are many days when reality doesn't quite line up with what I choose. Breakdown, letting go, surrendering even the illusion of control, breathing into the unknown. Sometimes that's what life holds. Practice hasn't brought an end to pain. I still increase my suffering like a fish caught on a line. My struggles only draw the hook in deeper. But being in reality is its own reward. It's the perfect paradox. The courage to stand and breathe when everything in me wants to flee is as great a gift as the freedom to seek retreat. No, practice hasn't brought an end to pain, but it has honed my willingness to experience the moment and sometimes see perfection unfolding in ways I wasn't big enough to plan, much less predict. Practice isn't about achieving a goal. It's not a means to pole vault over suffering. Practice is my way of looking life in the face and saying yes to all its disparate gifts. Practice keeps me awake when I would sleep and reminds me it's the journey unfolding in this very moment. It's the journey that reveals the truth and not the destination. So allow this practice to be your journey this morning, wherever it takes you. Accept who's here and allow this time to unfold in a way that's for your highest good. Bring your attention to your heart center, Anahata chakra. Breathe from that center, allowing your intention for practice this morning to come into your heart, and allow all your choices to be guided from that intention. You can keep your hands where they are in your belly. You can also just stay where you are and breathe. Just be here with us and just breathe, that's fine. If you're ready for a little movement, go ahead and bring your feet and your knees all the way together so the inner edges of the feet are touching, the knees are touching. And then again, listening to your inner teacher, if you have the desire to shift where your arms are, that's totally fine. If you're enjoying them right on the belly, then keep them there. And then we're going to go ahead and come into our sacral rock, keeping the feet planted in your mat. So at this point, we're going to keep the mounds of the big toes and pinky toes and either side of the heels in the floor. And this is a very small movement right across the sacrum, just a few inches side to side. The feet stay planted. As we begin to warm the body up, invite it into the practice, maintain that breath, that nice even flow of breath. And checking in with how your low back's feeling today. And if you'd like to begin to invite a little bit bigger movement, go ahead and do so. And then we'll allow now the edges of the feet to start to roll up off the floor side to side. We're still really warming up, so I don't suggest dropping the knees all the way to the floor into that deep of a twist at this point, unless you know that's really safe and that would feel good to you. Again, trust that inner teacher. I'm just going to throw out that little caution. Just be aware of that. Let's go a couple more side to side, whether these movements are large or small. And then we'll bring the knees back to center. And let's go ahead and draw them into the chest. Just give yourself a little hug, hugging in, knees to chest. Feel the stretch in the low back. Maybe just take a couple of breaths here. Keep this fairly minimal. We're again checking in and inviting. Slowly and gently inviting our bodies into the practice. So we want to continue to be curious about who it is we are inviting into this practice. And then if you would like to, we can start to come into Attanasana, or knees to chest. Inhale the arm lengths away and exhale towards you. Inhale the knees, arm lengths away. So the hands stay on the knees and the arms are pretty much doing the work here. Letting the legs relax. Just take them through the motion through the upper body. Inhaling and exhaling, connecting the movement and the breath. And then we'll take this into some knee circles. Just take them in one direction. Keep the knees together and circle around one direction. Big or small, just honor your physical body, your low back, what's going on here this morning. Maintain the breath. Just a little massage all the way across the low back, across the top of the pelvis. And then we'll circle the other way. mat to center. And then just one more little exercise here. Go ahead and take the knees and circle them out wide and back together. So now we get a little bit into the adductors of the inner thigh and the groin. So since the request this morning was a little bit of everything, we're going to try to do a practice a little bit of everything. And then we'll go ahead and bring the feet back down into your mat, parallel, hip width apart, and about 4 inches from your buttocks. Now if you have anything underneath your head at this point, go ahead and remove it. Just going to move it off to the side, and we want to have anything that's overhead out of our way, because if you can, if it's available to you, we're going to bring the arms all the way overhead to the floor. So just make sure you don't have anything in the way there. Bring your arms by your side, palms down. We're going to start with just the lower half of the body. Let's spend a little time in our moving bridge here this morning. So on an inhale, start to peel the spine up off the floor. Press into the feet, bring the hips up to the ceiling or towards the ceiling. And then exhale and roll back down. Head is neutral. Right? So we don't have the chin all the way in the chest, nor is it all the way up to the ceiling. Just a nice neutral cervical spine. Inhaling, roll up. Arms stay by your side for now. And exhale, vertebra for vertebra back down. So now we're just kind of creating a little massage along the entire length of the spine. And again, continuing to connect with your breath and being curious about what's arising for you, whether that's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, all those layers that make us who we are. The next time you come back down to the floor, let's go ahead now and we will engage with the arms in our 3-part moving bridge. So inhale the hips up, bring the arms all the way overhead to the floor above you if you can. If the shoulders don't allow, just bring the tips of the fingers towards the ceiling. Exhale, roll the spine back down. Inhale, roll back up. And exhale everything down together, hips and arms. Okay, so it's 2 full rounds of breathing. Okay, so inhale, hips up, arms overhead. Leave the arms there as you exhale and roll the spine back down. Inhale back up with the hips. And exhale, arms and spine and hips all the way back down again. So let's just go a few rounds on your own. If you change up the rhythm or the breath, just go with it. Feel into what's working for you this morning. Just enjoy the movement, this time of self-care. The next time you find your way back down to our starting point, so hips in the floor, arms by your side, pause. And just feel the echo of the practice so far. So notice the more subtle energy body here. What's flowing, what's shifted. And then go ahead and open the arms wide and take your feet out a little bit wider than hip width apart, even as wide as your mat if you'd like to. We're going to come into a double knee drop. So Kim, I do teach this a little different than Nancy in that I invite my students to take the feet wide, so don't let that throw you. I know she does more hip width apart, and so please feel free to stay with what you know. From here, you're going to exhale and release the knees to one side. Inhale, open wide. And then exhale, release the knees to the other side. So just very slowly connecting with the breath. Inhaling, open wide. Exhaling, release the knees side to side. I think I developed taking the feet a little bit wider because it just felt safer on my low back, particularly in the very beginning of practice. And then we can also add the head if you'd like to, rotating it the opposite direction the knees go. Inhale, the knees open, the gaze is up to the ceiling, and then exhale, release the knees as the head rotates the opposite way. So really just inviting a very gentle, mild twist through the full length of the spine. We're also, as we drop into the twist, probably going to feel a little bit this through the IT band, the outer hip. And as we open the legs wide, you might be feeling this a little bit into the inner thighs and the groin. So wherever you're noticing this, just breathe into it. Find that acceptance, as long as we're not creating any pain. So modify anything you need to so that this feels nourishing. When you've gone equally side to side, we'll bring the knees back upright. And draw them into the chest. Give yourself a little hug. And you might want to roll around on the spine here a little bit. Or you can come into the Apanasana or stay there if you want to, that knees to chest. But if you'd like to, you can roll up and down. Just depending on what feels good for you. And then we're going to go ahead and roll to one side and find our way to hands and knees. And let's go ahead, make sure you have 2 blocks nearby. Okay. We're going to start with our cat-cow. On an exhale, rounding the spine like a cat. Right? Inhaling, keep the core engaged, softly draw the tailbone and the head up into a gentle back bend. Exhaling, round. Inhaling, softening the heart towards the earth. So just feeling what's going on here in your spine. When we're on the palms of our hands, sometimes the wrists can fatigue, so you can always come to the fists for a little bit, just kind of changing it up if that helps you. And there's some days when that doesn't even feel good, and remember you have an option to come to forearms, right? So you can always move here and just kind of change things up. And then finding a little creative movement here. Let's go ahead and just circle the hips around. We'll get a little bit into the hips today as well. So these circles can be large or small. You can start to move side to side with the body. You can switch directions, circling the other way. And I just invite you to have a little fun or creative play here, in a sense, just kind of moving in the body in a way that serves you. Some kind of snake-like qualities through the spine, and just moving side to side, circling, using your core to support your back. And then we'll find our way into our Chakravakasana. So on an exhale, draw back into Child's Pose. Your version, however far back is safe for you. Inhaling back up to hands and knees. Let's lead with the heart. Exhale, draw back. Heart softens back. And inhale, rises back up. Connection of movement and breath. Once again, as we come into our mini flow here in just a moment, getting the body a little bit more warmth. And then the next time you find your way up to hands and knees, curl the toes under, and let's come into down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and let's take our dogs for a walk. So just pedaling your feet, bending the knees, shifting through the hips, moving through the shoulders and the spine. So just like we did hands and knees, and I asked you to just kind of move and have some fun with this, be creative and playful. You can do so here. Come out when you need to and come back into it, or stay and just continue to move. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. And then on your next inhale, come back down to the knees. Release into a child's pose if that's available to you, and take a few breaths. If not, you can also come onto the belly or simply rest at hands and knees for a moment. In child's pose, just breathe into the back body. And let's just put this together with just a little mini flow here. On your inhale, come up to hands and knees. And exhale, down dog. Inhale back to hands and knees. Exhale, child's. So just nice, slow, mindful movements connected with your breath. Inhaling to knees. And alternately exhale between child's pose and down dog. If you feel safe doing so, close the eyes. And just be in the practice from the inside, right? This inner journey of yoga. And then from child's pose, you have the option to add on a modified up dog, softly drawing the heart forward, lengthening the spine, and then exhaling from there into down dog if you'd like to. Just an option. Couple more rounds. then the next time you find your way into a child's pose, pause there. Breathe and feel the practice so far. Feel the echo of the practice. Check in with the choices that you're making. Are they nourishing you? Find your way back up to hands and knees. If you have blocks with you, place them on either side of your mat, at the front of your mat. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. Bring your right foot forward to a low lunge. So let's go ahead and play. We did have a request for some hips, I saw. So right now, we're gonna go ahead and just kind of explore in the left hip flexor, right hamstring with our lunge rock. Inhaling as we come forward. Opening the heart, lift the head, gaze is straight ahead. Just check in with your front knee. Make sure that it's aligned with your ankle and not way out in front of your toes. If that's the case, take the back leg back a little farther. Okay, so we want to protect our knees. And then as you draw back, just kind of check in here. The right toes can come up off the floor if you'd like to. You can keep the foot in the floor and feel the stretch more in the shin. So these are those options as you move back and forth, just kind of noticing what feels right to you. Inhaling, heart lifts, external energy. Exhale, fold over that front leg as you begin to straighten it. Internally, going inside. Inhaling, open. Exhale, fold. And just take a few more rounds here on your own. What are you discovering? What are you feeling? What's coming up for you? Just be in the present moment with whatever that is. And the next time you inhale, we're going to come forward into our lunge. Find more of a neutral position rather than dropping into a stretch. Stay a little bit neutral so the hips lift a little bit. Bring the palm of the right hand. I'll turn around just so you guys can, if you need a visual for this. Bring the palm of your right hand to the outer edge of that right knee. Okay, so let's do a little bit of our resistance work here. So we're going to wake up that IT band and the outer hip. So you're going to go ahead, press the knee into the hand, rotating to the outer edge of that right foot. So feel those muscles and ligaments and all wake up there. Press the hand back into the knee while the knee resists. So you're resisting both directions. 4 rounds. Keep breathing. And then on the 4th round, you're going to go ahead and we're going to lighten up that resistance just a bit, but you want to have a little bit of resistance. Press the hand or the knee into the hand and open into that hip. Okay, so you might even feel this to the inner thigh and the groin, and some of you may feel it more to the outer hip. Be in your experience and breathe. And then bring that knee back to center. Okay, and then go ahead now and fold forward over that front leg. So draw the hips back, bring the toes up off the floor if you want to come into a little bit of a hamstring stretch here. You can walk the blocks back with you if you'd like to. And we want to find a slight anterior tip of the pelvis. So notice if you have the tendency to round the spine and tuck the tailbone under in order to fold forward farther. Let's lengthen that hamstring attachment. Spine stays long. And we want to feel like we're taking the top of the pelvis forward into that anterior tip of the pelvis. Okay, or in the sense we're creating a little bit of a back bend. We're not really, we're in a neutral position, but that's that action, that's that motion, if that helps you get that. And then go ahead and come forward, bend into that front knee, move the blocks out of the way. Press back into down dog. Walk that out. Notice the difference between the right and the left sides. What we've just been playing in with that lunge. Come back down to the knees, inhaling. Exhaling back into a child's pose. So take a few moments or a few rounds here of our mini flow, inhaling forward with the heart into that up dog, or to hands and knees. Curl the toes under, exhale down dog. Inhale back to knees, and exhale child's pose. Go 2 more rounds on your own at your own pace, but I'm going to encourage you to keep this mindful and slow. And as you find your way into child's pose, pause there, or hands and knees, or on the belly, wherever's most comfortable to you. Take a moment to breathe. Feel the right and left sides of the body, and just the overall echo of the practice. And then come back up to hands and knees and bring the left foot forward. And I'm going to turn around again. So again, foundation and alignment, just notice this front knee. So as you come forward into your lunge, making sure that knee doesn't jut way out in front of the toes. So we bring that back leg a little farther back if that's happening. Draw back, kind of check in. How's that left hamstring feel? And notice whether you prefer to have the toes into the floor or off, right? Just kind of checking out this side. And then we'll find our lunge rock on an inhale. Come forward, lift the head, open the heart. Soft stretch into the right hip flexor. Exhale, fold inward, and feel the stretch to that back of the left leg. Inhale, energy moves outward. Exhale, energy moves inward. So we can start to connect into some of the subtleties of the practice. The next time you come forward, find our lunge in a more neutral position, so we're not really releasing into a stretch that right hip flexor. We're going to go ahead and take our left hand to the outer edge of our left knee. Press the knee into the hand, rotating to the outer edge of that left foot, and press the knee into the hand, or the hand into the knee as it comes back to center. 4 rounds. We're going to hold on the 4th round. And start to feel the fascia wake up, outer thigh, hip, maybe a little bit into the groin, inner thigh. And on the fourth round, you're going to stay, press just gently, not overdo, don't overdo this. Press the knee into the hand and breathe here. So opening up into the hip. A little strength and a little stretch both. And then find your way back to center. And draw back, straightening that left leg. Bringing the toes up off the floor or leaving the foot planted, up to you. You can draw the blocks back if you'd like to. Find that nice length in the spine and that anterior tip of the pelvis. So find that length and that gentle or that neutral low back. So that lengthens the hamstring attachment into the glute. You know it when you've got it. You're going to feel it. Maintain your breath. And then go ahead and bend into that front knee again. Move the blocks off to the side and press back into down dog. And again, walk this out a little bit. Notice the left versus the right side. And on an inhale, come back down to your knees and your version of a child's pose or a resting position. Draw back and take a few breaths here. Feel the practice. Allowing ourselves these moments to pause and check in. A state of non-doing. On your next inhale, come back to hands and knees. Exhale into a down dog. Walk your feet to your hands. Coming into a standing forward fold, Uttanasana. You can have your hands in the block if you'd like to, lifting the heart a little bit. You can bend the knees if you need to, right? So what creates some ease in this pose for you? Allowing the head to relax. Take a moment to breathe deeply into the back body. Bring your hands to your hips. Bend the knees generously, engage the core. Start to lengthen the spine by reaching forward with the crown of the head. And inhale as you come on up to standing. Good. I'm just going to turn to face you. So take a few breaths in mountain pose in Tadasana as we root our feet into the earth. Feel that connection into Mother Earth. Feel her nourishment drawing up through our feet, up through the legs, into the hips, all the way up through the spine, and out through the crown of the head. Let's connect a little movement here with the arms. Inhaling, reach up. Drawing all that nourishment up, all that you need for yourself. And then we're going to bring the palms down, face the palms down from the crown of the head. We're exhaling, allowing all of that to nourish us, to fill us up from the crown of the head to the feet. Whatever that is for you, okay? It's going to be different for each of you. Inhale, draw all of it in, whatever you need for yourself. Just working with energies here. And then exhale and allow it to flood you from head to toe. Receive that healing or that nourishment, whatever it is you need. The ability to receive, inhaling and exhaling. Root down, reach up. Keep that spine elongated, nice and tall, even through the exhale. One more round. With the completion of the next exhale, arms rest by your side and just feel. Okay. So from the front of our mats, I'll be switching sides to side so you can see me. So I'll have a block on either side of my mat, but you just have to have one at the front of yours so you can see me. From the front of your mat, step your right foot all the way back. Open the right toes into a stance for warrior two. Okay, warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. So we want to be our hips at an angle to the long side of our mats, right? You can try to open them up all the way, but really pay attention to that front knee, which should be your left knee. And keep that in alignment over the ankle. It's going to have the tendency to drop in. So we're going to really keep that knee in alignment there. The toes are pointing straight ahead to the front of your mat. And the back foot's at about a 30 to 40 degree angle. And feel all 4 points of both feet anchoring into the earth. Okay, so you feel solid in both feet. Mounted the big toe, pinky toe on either side of the heel. Back leg is straight, spine is tall. So we want to imagine we have a rod from the crown of our head through the tailbone. So as you bend into the front knee, okay, so kind of check this out. We're not leaning into our warriors. We stay upright. Okay, so that's kind of the foundation. So just imagine as you bend into that front knee, you have that rod keeping the spine nice and tall. And check out that front knee now. Notice where it's tracking, keeping it over that ankle. Core is engaged, and you should be able to see down the entire length of that right leg. We're going to take a little time here. We really have not played in our standing poses for a while. I've had fun taking you guys through some other movements. We want to make sure what's not happening is that you're popping that right hip forward and dropping into the low back. So draw that back if that's occurring so you can see down that entire right leg. Okay, so I hope this is making sense. From here, as you bend into that front knee, it can be minimal or deep. You want to find a nice strong pose, feel free. Core is engaged. Allow the arms to float up, shoulder height. And we take the gaze out through the left fingertips. So this is a strong pose, and yet we can find the integrity of the pose and then drop into some ease. From the inside, there's a softening without losing the integrity of the pose we're in. And we find our breath. And notice if there's anything you'd like to modify. Would you want to minimize the bend in the front knee? Maybe the back foot you want to not have as quite of a wide of a stance. How can you modify this pose so that it's nourishing for you? Breathing deeply, evenly. Heart is open. Breathe into your intention you set at the beginning of practice. On the next inhale, allow the front knee to straighten. Release the arms, just relax those for a minute. Maintain the foundation that we have in the legs. So here's where our block is going to come into handy. We're going to come into triangle pose. So we're going to take our block at level 3, what I like to call level 3, the tallest level, okay, and place it to the inner edge of the foot or right by the ankle of the left foot. Some of you don't need the block, and some of you won't reach the block. That's okay. Meet yourself where you are. We're going to work through this. The front leg stays straight, feet stay planted. Okay, so now hands on your hips for a moment and just kind of feel the shifting of your hips. So know that as we come into this pose, we're shifting into the left hip flexor. We're not coming into the pose by collapsing in the left side body and rounding the spine, right? So that's going to stay nice and tall. So shift the hips. So I'm shifting my right hip back or off to the right so I can feel the crease in my left hip flexor. Okay, we'll keep the right hand on our hip for now. Reach through the left. Keep reaching and lengthening through the left side body, reaching out and over that left leg. As you bring your left hand, notice where it lands. It might be the knee. It might be the block. Some of you might want to lower the block. But notice what's going on in the upper body. So the tendency is to find our way farther into the pose. We do so by closing our hearts and folding forward into the pose. Right? So stay lifted through and open through the heart, spine long. Extend the right arm up if that's available to you this morning, and take the gaze up to the right fingers. Okay, modify the pose, come up and lift up off the block altogether. Right, you don't have to come all the way to the block. That's one way to modify it. If you have any neck issues, look straight down. You can also modify the right arm, keep it on your hip if you've got anything going on through the neck and the shoulder. Right, so you find your expression in the pose that feels nourishing and safe. Utthita Trikonasana. Breathe. Come out of the pose. Reach through those right fingertips. Use your core to come up. And release the arms. And then step your right foot to the front of your mat. Back where we started, arms by your side. Take a few breaths here. Feel the effects of those two poses. Just feel the echo of the practice for you. And again, I'm going to switch sides here. Just so you can see me. Okay. And when you're ready, let's step our left foot back. So first we're going to find out how wide of a stance we want. Back foot's at a 30 to 40 degree angle. Front foot, which is your right foot, toes pointing straight ahead to the front of your mat. Okay, all 4 points of your feet planted. You feel them anchoring into the earth. Bend into the front knee. Again, spine stays tall. Notice how this side feels. You don't have to find the exact same expression you found on the other side depending on what you have going on in your body. Honor that. So if you can't bend as far or you can bend farther on this side, that's fine. Okay. That knee tracks over the ankle, spine is tall. No leaning warriors. Okay. Check in with that hip, left hip. Notice it. Is it popping out and getting in the way of you seeing that leg? Find that neutral spine. Core is engaged. Spine is tall. Find your pose. Bend into that front knee as little or as much as you'd like to, as long as it's not past 90 degrees. And then the arms float up, shoulder height. Shoulders stay relaxed away from the ears. Gaze out the right fingertips. Settle into the effort of the pose and the ease. Hatha Yoga, the union of opposites. The strength, the stretch. Ninth, even, smooth breathing. And straighten the front leg. Relax the arms for a moment. Feel the pose. Okay, we're going to take our blocks, level 3, inner edge of that right foot or right by the ankle. So in triangle pose, the front leg technically stays straight. So what modifications might you need on this side? You might not make it to the block. Okay, hands to your hips. Play with that idea of the hips shifting back into neutral and back. Feel the hip flexor of the right leg. Okay, so we're not bending into the side body. Keep that right side body elongated. Left hand stays on your hip. Extend the right arm out. This is just one of many ways to teach this pose. Reach with the right fingertips as you lengthen that right side body. Bringing the hand, either it comes to the back of the knee, the shin, or the inner knee, shin, or maybe to the block. Okay. Heart stays open. Keep lengthening through that right side body. And then if you choose, the left arm can extend up. This is just a decoration. You've got something in your shoulder, your neck that doesn't feel right, keep that arm low. And then if you have it available, you can rotate the gaze to the left fingertips. Nice, steady breathing. Your breath is a beautiful indicator as to whether or not you're making choices that are in alignment for yourself. The breath should be maintained with ease. And then using your core, reaching through those left fingertips, come on up. Release the arms and step forward with that left foot. Both feet directly underneath you, again, Tadasana, and feel the practice so far. Just noticing the sensations. How's the body responding? A loving acceptance of whatever's showing up. And let's inhale, reach the arms overhead. And exhale down through center, fold forward. Press back into down dog. Walk that out a bit. Inhale to the knees. And exhale, draw back into that child's pose once again, or your resting pose, whatever position that is for you. And take a few breaths. Bring him down to the floor. Breathe into the back body. we're going to come into a seated position. We're not going to sit on the edge of the blanket at this time because we're going to shift our hips a bit. Extending both legs out in front. Sitting up nice and tall. Bend the right knee. This right foot can rest up against the inner left thigh, or if you have it available, bring it up and over that left thigh. Okay? Left elbow around the right knee. Right hand behind you. We're going to take this right hip and we're actually going to draw it back slightly. So we're unsquaring the pelvis. All right? The left leg is active, the foot is flexed, spine stays tall. Right, we're going to move in and out before we come into this twist and hold. And I just want you to give yourself permission to allow that right hip to move with you. And what this does is provide a safer place for our sacrum. Okay, so we're not trying to draw the sacrum into a deep twist. Right, so we're going to go ahead. On an exhale, start to shift through the hip, draw the heart back open, and the gaze out that right shoulder. Inhale back to center. Exhale into the twist, heart is open, spine lifted. Inhale back to center. 2 more times. Exhale into the twist. We're just being curious. What are we discovering? What are we feeling? Inhale back to center. And this next time, exhale into the twist. Shoulders down and back. Gaze out that back shoulder. You can keep the gaze straight ahead if that's bothering your neck. Modify by bringing the foot to the inner thigh if it's feeling too intense in that outer hip. Back off on the twist in any way you need to. Breath is steady. Massaging the internal organs, assisting our digestion, and of course the pliability of our spine. On your next exhale, slowly unwind. Extend that right leg out along the left, next to the left. Shake that out a little bit. Give things a little hug or a little love. All right. I'm just going to turn around so I don't have my back to you. You can stay where you are. We're going to switch sides. Bend the left knee. Again, that foot, and it might be different on this side, so please be willing to modify any way you need to. The foot can be to the inner edge of your right leg or up and over. Right elbow around that left knee, left hand behind you. Okay, right leg is fully active and extended, foot is active. And then again, that same thing now with the left hip, draw that back, unsquare the hips, so we take the sacrum out of this, out of the twist, okay? Teachers teach us differently. All right, so we're gonna move in and out 4 times like we did before. The exhale draws you into the twist, the heart opens, gaze out that left shoulder. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, and inhale. Allow that hip to move with you. And on the 4th exhale, we'll come in and hold in the twist. Spine is tall, Heart open, shoulders down and back, and breathe. Listen to your body and modify in any way that serves you. All the same options apply on this side. Slowly release. Just recenter the hips. Both legs extended out in front of you. Shake it out a little bit. Give everything a little love. And then we're going to go ahead now and roll onto our backs. So as you roll back, just draw the knees into the chest. Just kind of take a moment here around that low back from a seated pose, twisting, maybe rocking side to side, or a little of the Apanasana again, just a little release. And let's come into a little stretch for our hips one more time. Right ankle to the left knee, we'll do our figure four. For some of you, you may want to stay here, keep the left foot in the floor, and simply take your right hand and push that knee slightly away from you. If you feel anything through the knee, it can sometimes help to flex that foot. So flexing the right foot might help that knee feel a little safer. Next option, go move or reach through the hole behind that left thigh and pull that whole figure four up off the floor. You can take the right elbow into that crook of that right knee and press it away from you if you feel like you need that. And hug that in and breathe. Take about 3 more breaths here. And then we'll go ahead and release that. Maybe extend that right leg out along the floor, just going to stretch that out a bit. And then we'll switch side, right foot in the floor, left ankle on the right knee. See how this side feels. Please don't assume you're going to take this to the exact same position. Check things out here. Maybe simply push the knee away with your hand. Feel that. And then of course the next option, through the hole, grabbing behind your right thigh. You can push that knee away from you with the elbow. If you feel like you need that, you can flex the foot if they feel like it helps protect your knee. Once you've found your pose, simply breathe. Just pay attention to each breath in and out. Take about 3 more breaths here. And then release. Maybe extend that left leg along the floor if that would feel nice. Shake it out a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and draw the knees into the chest once again. And then we'll find our way into our releases, our hip hikers and pointers. So feet about hip width apart. And our hip hikers or sliders first. So just sliding or hiking the hip up the mat towards the shoulders. Your arms can rest on your belly or they can be out wide. Just notice what's most comfortable for you. Very small, mindful movements here, releasing the low back and sacrum. Bring that to neutral, and then we'll move into our hip pointers, pointing or pressing into the right foot. Point the right hip bone up to the ceiling and release it. And then the opposite side. Really pay attention to what's happening in the knees so that they might move away towards you in a way like a scissor motion, but they don't sway side to side. The opposite buttocks remains in the floor. Small mindful movements. Bring all that to neutral, and then just take a moment to alternate between these two, hip hikers and then hip pointers. Or if there's another movement that would feel nice to you before coming into Shavasana, please feel free. So this is an opportunity for you to draw your practice to completion in a way that serves you. Just going to take maybe 5 or 6 more breaths here. And at the completion of those breaths, please find your Shavasana and notice if you'd like any props, something rolled up underneath the knees or a blanket underneath the head, or maybe something on you if you're feeling like we've cooled down a lot. Arms out from your side, palms up. It's going to be a brief little pranayama to bring you into a moment of Shavasana. It's going to be a little shorter today as I bring you to a seated meditation with our plant, or a plant. Once you've settled into your Shavasana, bring your awareness to your breath and find an even flow, about a 4 count. Inhale and exhale. Inhale 4 and exhale 4. You can maintain this even count, or for those of you who would like to, I'm going to invite you into doubling your exhale. So the inhale is 4, and the exhale takes an 8 count to release. Each breath out, an opportunity to let go, surrender, soften, and receive. Receive the gifts of this practice. Inhale 4, exhale 8. Three more rounds of breath, doubling the exhale. And at the completion of that third exhale, allow any shaping of the breath to fall away, allowing it to find its own rhythm as you rest in Shavasana and in your heart. Slowly find your way back just by taking a few deep breaths. Maybe wiggling some fingers and toes. Rolling to one side. Take a couple of breaths there. And then take a moment to very slowly find your way into a comfortable seated position. This maybe it has to be a chair, and that's okay. We have about 5 minutes. We're going to do a little meditation here. with a plant. As you find your seat, you want a nice tall spine. I'm going to invite you to bring the backs of your hands to your thighs, palms up. Upper arms drawn close to the side body so they're hanging directly off the shoulders. You can have a plant directly in front of you or simply be aware of where a plant might be in the room you're occupying. If you weren't able to bring a plant into the room with you, maybe there's one in your home, and there could simply be a favorite bush or a tree or a flower of some sort in your neighborhood you see. That's okay too. So just bring into your mind's eye either the plant that's close by or one that you might see that you like as you take walks around your neighborhood. Just picture that plant and recognize for a moment all the elements of the plant, right? It takes earth, water, air, and the fire of the sun in order to survive. And to recognize that we too take all four of those elements to survive: the earth, the air we breathe, the sun, and water. And how much alike we are to all living plants. And we're just going to take a moment to breathe into that recognition. So bring your attention into the third eye, area between your eyebrows. You don't have to lengthen or shape the breath so much as visualize the third eye breathing in and out. There may be a sensation, color, just breathing in and out through the third eye. Become aware of the time, each time we bring our attention to the inhale, we're taking in the oxygen that that plant provides. And as we exhale, the plant takes that carbon dioxide that we expel. I invite you to breathe into this relationship, just feeling gratitude for the oxygen the plant provides and the giving back to the plant you do on your exhale through the third eye with that plant. Allow any sensations, vibrations, colors, or images to arise. And if there's nothing, that's okay too. Find an acceptance of that. Just meet yourself where you are. Allow that visualization to fall away and just feel the echo of this practice we shared together, of your meditation with a plant. Just noticing whatever's there for you. Be in gratitude, resting our hearts in gratitude. palms together to your hearts. Acknowledge and honor this time you gave yourself today. And I thank you for allowing me to take this seat of teacher. Namaste.